There are exactly 43 steps from the elevator to Matteo Santoro's office. I'd counted them every morning for 14 months, and this morning, the morning I was going to hand in my resignation, those 43 steps felt like walking to an execution. The envelope in my hand was professionally printed on expensive paper, 2 weeks' notice as stipulated in my contract, carefully worded to be polite and final. I'd rehearsed what I would say. I'd planned my exit strategy. I'd convinced myself this was the right thing to do. I was lying to myself, and I knew it. The problem with working for Matteo Santoro for 14 months was that you learned to recognize patterns. The way his jaw ticked when he was controlling his temper. The way his eyes darkened when he was interested in something. The way he said my name, Julia, with that slight emphasis on the last syllable that made it sound like a caress. And lately, the way he'd been looking at me had nothing to do with quarterly reports or client meetings. This is insane, I thought as I reached his office door. You're imagining things. He's your boss. You're his assistant. That's all this is. But my hands were shaking as I knocked. Enter. His voice carried through the heavy wood door, that low rumble that always made something flutter in my stomach. I stepped inside, and there he was. Matteo Santoro at 8 in the morning, already in a custom Brioni suit that probably cost more than 3 months of my rent, his dark hair perfectly styled, his attention focused on the contract spread across his massive desk. The office overlooked half of Milan, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Duomo in the distance. He didn't look up immediately. That was Matteo. He made you wait, made you aware of the power dynamic, made sure you remembered who was in control. Except this morning, I was about to take that control away from him. Julia. He finally looked up, and those dark eyes swept over me in a way that was completely unprofessional and absolutely intentional. You're early. I needed to speak with you before the day started. I crossed to his desk, my heels clicking on the marble floor. It's important. Something shifted in his expression. He set down his pen with deliberate care, leaned back in his chair, and gave me his complete attention. I'm listening. I placed the envelope on his desk, sliding it across the polished surface. My resignation. 2 weeks' notice, effective today. For a moment, he didn't move, just stared at the envelope like it was something foreign, incomprehensible. Then his hand reached out, picked it up, opened it with precise movements. I watched him read, watched his jaw tighten, watched something dark and dangerous flash across his face before that perfect control slammed back into place. When he finished, he looked up at me, and the smile that curved his lips made my breath catch. It wasn't a nice smile. You think you can just resign? He slid the envelope back across his desk, the paper making a soft whisper against wood. That smirk deepened. How amusing. It's not a request. I kept my voice steady, professional. It's a resignation. 2 weeks' notice, as per my contract. Your contract. He stood, and even though I'd watched him stand 1,000 times, this felt different. Predatory. Let's discuss your contract, shall we? Section 7, Paragraph 3. The non-compete clause. You're aware you cannot work for any of our competitors for 6 months after leaving Santoro Development. I'm aware. I'm not working for a competitor. No. He moved around the desk, slow and deliberate. Then where exactly are you going, Julia? The way he said my name made my pulse jump. That's personal. Try again. He was close now, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something expensive and cedar-scented that I'd learned to associate with danger and want in equal measure. My friend was in an accident. She needs help during her recovery. I'm relocating to Florence for 6 months. His eyes narrowed. What kind of help? Live-in care. She broke her back. She has no family, and I'm all she has. And you were planning to pay for this, how? The question was soft, but I heard the steel underneath. I lifted my chin. I have savings. Liar. He reached out, his fingers catching my chin, tilting my face up to meet his eyes. The touch was gentle, but the look in his eyes was anything but. You've been stressed for 2 weeks. I've watched you check your phone constantly. I've seen the medical bills you thought you were hiding when you printed them. So let's try this again. How much do you need? My throat tightened. Of course he'd noticed. Matteo noticed everything. 65,000 euros, I whispered. For the medical care insurance, won't cover. Plus living expenses in Florence for both of us. But that's not your concern. I'll handle it. You'll handle it. He released my chin but didn't step back. By doing what? Taking out loans you can't afford? Working 3 jobs while caring for your friend? If I have to.
No.
The word was flat, final. Here's what's actually going to happen. I'm going to pay for your friend's medical care. I'm going to set both of you up in one of our Florence properties. And you're going to continue working for me. I stared at him. What? You heard me. He moved back to his desk, pulled up something on his computer. Santoro Development has holdings in Florence. A renovated apartment near Piazza Santa Croce, fully furnished, 3 bedrooms. Perfect for you and your friend. You'll work remotely, handle the accounts I assign you, and report to me weekly. Matteo, I can't accept. You're not accepting. His eyes met mine, dark and intense. I'm telling you what's going to happen. You need help. I'm providing it. This isn't negotiation. Why? The question burst out before I could stop it. Why would you do this? He was silent for a long moment. Then, you're really going to make me say it? Say what? That I've been waiting for you to quit for 14 months. He stood again, and this time when he approached, there was something different in his eyes. Something that made my heart race. Do you know why I've never touched you, Julia? Why I've kept every interaction professional despite the fact that I've wanted you since the day you walked into this office. I couldn't breathe. Because I work for you. Exactly. His hand came up, fingers sliding into my hair, tilting my head back. Because you worked for me. Past tense. You just resigned. Which means the only thing that's been stopping me from doing this doesn't exist anymore. He kissed me. Right there in his office, with my resignation letter on his desk and 14 months of professional distance crumbling between us. He kissed me like he'd been thinking about it every single day. Like I was something he'd been denied and was finally claiming. And God help me, I kissed him back. When he finally pulled away, I was shaking. His thumb brushed across my lower lip, his eyes dark with satisfaction. So here's the deal, he said, his voice rough. You want to go to Florence? Fine. But you're not running from this. From me. You'll take the apartment, take the job, take the money for your friend's care. And in exchange, you stop pretending this hasn't been inevitable since the moment we met. Matteo, this is insane. You're my boss. Wrong tense again. His hand tightened in my hair. I was your boss. Now you're mine. No more professional distance. No more pretending. You're going to Florence for 6 months, and I'm going to visit regularly for business. And when I do, you're going to stop lying to yourself about what you want. My mind was spinning. I can't just accept 65,000 euros from you. That's nothing. He released me, went back to his desk, started typing on his phone. I spend more than that on cars I never drive. Your friend gets the care she needs, you get to help her, and I get what I've been wanting for 14 months. Everyone wins. This isn't about my friend. The words came out sharper than I intended. You're using her situation to give you what you need while getting what I want. His smile was dark. Yes. Exactly. Welcome to how negotiations work, Julia. You should know this by now. You've watched me close enough deals. He was right. I had watched him, had learned his methods. The way he identified what people wanted and used it to get what he needed. The way he turned every situation to his advantage. I just never expected to be on the receiving end. Why me? I whispered. You could have anyone. Why me? Because you don't look at me like everyone else does. He came around the desk again, and this time when he touched me, his hand was gentle on my face. Because you're brilliant and you don't even realize it. Because you handle chaos like it's nothing, and you've never once asked me for anything. Because I've spent 14 months watching you and wanting you and telling myself I couldn't have you, because you worked for me. And now I don't. Now you don't. His forehead pressed against mine. So stop fighting this. Let me take care of your friend. Let me take care of you. Let me have what I've been waiting for. This is insane. My mind screamed. But my body was already leaning into him, already accepting what he was offering. Okay, I whispered. Okay.
Yes.
The apartment.
The job.
I couldn't say it. Couldn't say you out loud. Say it, he commanded, his voice dropping to that dangerous register. Say yes to all of it. Yes to all of it. My hands found the lapels of his suit jacket, fisting in the expensive fabric. But if I'm doing this, I need to know, is this real? Or is this just you getting what you want? It's both. His lips brushed my jaw. I want you, Julia. Have wanted you since day one. But I also care about you. About what you need. About making sure you're safe and taken care of. So yes, this is me getting what I want. But it's also me making sure you get what you need. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He pulled away with obvious reluctance, checked the screen, and his expression darkened. I have a meeting in 10 minutes. He looked at me, something possessive and satisfied in his eyes. We'll discuss the details tonight. My penthouse, 8 o'clock. Don't make me come looking for you. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. He kissed me again, quick and possessive. And Julia, pack a bag. You're staying the night. Then he walked out of his own office, leaving me standing there with my rejected resignation letter and the taste of him on my lips. What had I just agreed to? I spent the rest of the day in a daze. Matteo was in meetings all morning, but I could feel his attention on me every time we passed in the halls. Could see the satisfaction in his eyes when I brought him documents to sign. Everyone else noticed too. Marco, his COO, raised an eyebrow when he saw us together in the conference room. Something different about you two today? Ms. Romano has agreed to manage our Florence operations remotely, Matteo said smoothly. We were just discussing the transition. It wasn't a lie, but it also wasn't the whole truth. By 6 o'clock, most of the office had cleared out. I was packing up my desk, not permanently, but enough to work remotely, when my phone rang. Connor's name on the screen made my stomach drop. I'd been avoiding him for weeks. Ever since he'd shown up at my apartment drunk, insisting we belonged together, threatening to tell everyone about my past if I didn't give him another chance. I declined the call. Immediately, a text came through. I know you're seeing someone. Don't think I haven't noticed the way you've been acting. If you think I'm going to let you embarrass me by running off with some new boyfriend, you're wrong. Call me. My hands were shaking as I deleted the message. Problem. Matteo's voice came from directly behind me. I spun around. He was leaning against the doorframe of my office, jacket off, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that had no business being that distracting. Nothing, I said automatically. His eyes narrowed. Try again. And remember, no more lying. It's just my ex. He's been. How did I explain Connor without sounding pathetic? Persistent. Connor Hastings. It wasn't a question. I know who he is. Junior consultant at Moretti Development. Trust fund baby playing at having a career. What does he want? Me, apparently. He can't accept that we're over. How long ago did it end? For months. Matteo's jaw ticked. And he's still bothering you? He shows up at my apartment sometimes. Sends texts from different numbers. His family knows my family, so there's social pressure too. I stopped, realizing how pathetic this sounded. To what? Matteo's voice was dangerously soft. To get back together with someone who harasses you? He's not. It's not harassment. He's just. Julia. He crossed to me, his hands settling on my shoulders. Listen to me very carefully. That is harassment. And it's going to stop. Tonight. What are you going to do? What I should have done the moment I found out about him. His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. But first, you're coming with me. We have plans, remember? I'd almost forgotten about his penthouse. About packing a bag. About agreeing to spend the night with a man who until this morning had been my boss. Matteo, I don't know if. Stop. His finger pressed against my lips. No more doubts. No more running. You agreed, Julia. Now follow through. He was right. I had agreed. And some part of me, the part that had been wanting this for 14 months, was tired of fighting it. Okay, I whispered. Good. He released me, checked his watch. Go home. Pack a bag. Be at my penthouse by 8. The code is 4739. You're giving me your security code? You're going to need it. His smile was dark with promise. You'll be using it often over the next 6 months. Mateo's penthouse was everything I'd imagined and nothing I was prepared for. Private elevator that required both a code and key card. Doors that opened directly into his space. No hallway, no buffer between the outside world and his domain. And the space itself? Pure Mateo. Minimalist furniture that probably cost more than my car. Original artwork I recognized from auctions. Floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the Duomo lit up against the night sky. Everything in shades of black, gray, and steel. And silence. The kind of silence that only extreme wealth could buy in the middle of Milan. He was waiting for me, drink in hand, still in his work clothes minus the jacket and tie. He looked dangerous and beautiful, and my heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. You came, he said, taking my overnight bag like it weighed nothing. Did you think I wouldn't? I wasn't sure. He set my bag aside, crossed to me. You've been running from this for 14 months. I thought you might run one more time. I'm tired of running, I admitted. Good. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my face up. Because I'm done being patient. He kissed me again, and it was different from this morning. Deeper. More certain. The kiss of a man who'd stopped holding back. When he finally pulled away, I was breathless. I ordered dinner, he said, his thumb tracing my lower lip. But first, we need to discuss Connor. The mood shift was jarring. What about him? His harassment ends tonight. Mateo guided me to the couch, sat close enough that our thighs touched. I'm going to make some calls. By tomorrow morning, Connor Hastings will have bigger problems than bothering you. What kind of problems? The kind that happen when your trust fund daddy finds out you've been misusing company resources to stalk your ex-girlfriend. His smile was cold. Connor's father owes me favors. Several of them. One phone call, and Connor's comfortable little life becomes very uncomfortable. I should have been horrified. Should have protested. But all I felt was relief. Why? I asked. Why do all this for me? Because you're mine now. His hand found my waist, pulled me closer. And I protect what's mine. Connor learns that lesson tonight. Anyone else who thinks they can bother you learns it too. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. His forehead pressed against mine. You're mine. I take care of you. That's how this works. And what do? You stop trying to handle everything alone. His lips brushed my jaw. You trust me. You let me in. And you stop pretending you don't want this just as much as I do. He was right. Again. I did want this. Had wanted it for 14 months while telling myself it was impossible. I'm scared, I whispered. I know. His hand slid up my spine. But you're going to do it anyway. Because you're brave, Julia. Braver than you think. Dinner arrived, delivered by his private chef, because of course Matteo Santoro didn't order takeout like normal people. We ate at his dining table overlooking the city, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. Tell me about your friend, he said over wine that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The one in Florence. Chiara. We met in university. She's a photographer, brilliant, free-spirited. Everything I'm not. I smiled, thinking of her. She was driving to a shoot when someone ran a red light. Broke her back in 3 places. The doctors say she'll recover fully, but she needs 6 months of supervised care and physical therapy. And she has no one else? Her parents died when she was young. No siblings. She's been alone most of her life. Like me, I didn't add. I can't let her go through this alone. You won't. His hand found mine across the table. She'll have the best care. The best physical therapists. Whatever she needs. Thank you. My voice cracked. I don't know how to repay. You don't. His thumb brushed across my knuckles. You let me take care of this. That's enough. We finished dinner, and then he was leading me to his bedroom. Not pushing, not rushing, just his hand at the small of my back as we walked through his penthouse. The bedroom was as minimalist as the rest of his space. Massive bed with black silk sheets. More floor-to-ceiling windows. And that scent, his cologne mixed with something that was purely him. I should shower, I said, suddenly nervous. Go ahead. He nodded to a door. Bathroom's through there. Take your time. The bathroom was ridiculous. All marble and glass, shower that could fit 4 people, bathtub that looked like a small pool. I showered quickly, using his products and emerging smelling like him. When I came out wearing one of his shirts, because I hadn't thought to pack pajamas, he was sitting on the edge of his bed, waiting. Come here, he said quietly. I crossed to him, and his hands settled on my waist, pulling me between his legs. You're wearing my shirt, he observed. I didn't pack. I like it. His hands slid under the fabric, finding bare skin. I like seeing you in my space, in my clothes, in my bed. I like knowing you're mine. Mateo. Tell me you want this, he interrupted, his eyes intense on mine. Tell me you're sure. I'm terrified, I admitted. But yes, I want this. I want you. The smile that crossed his face was pure satisfaction. Good. Because I'm done waiting. He proved it, pulling me down onto his bed, his mouth finding mine with an intensity that stole my breath. His hands were everywhere, in my hair, on my skin, claiming and possessing with a thoroughness that made it clear this had been building for 14 months. When he finally entered me, his eyes locked on mine. It felt like everything clicking into place. Like this had been inevitable from the moment I'd walked into his office 14 months ago. Mine, he growled against my throat. Say it. Yours, I gasped. I'm yours. And I was. Completely. Irrevocably. His. I woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and Mateo's arm around my waist. We were tangled together in his black silk sheets, his body warm against my back. You're awake, he murmured against my neck. How did you know? Your breathing changed. His hand slid up my ribcage possessively. I've been awake for an hour watching you sleep. That's creepy. Probably. His lips brushed my shoulder. But I've been wanting to do it for 14 months, so I'm not apologizing. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I reached for it, saw multiple missed calls from Connor and one text message. I know you're with him. Mateo Santoro. Do you have any idea what people are saying? That you're sleeping your way up? That you're his whore? Call me. We need to talk about fixing this before you ruin both our reputations. I must have made a sound because Mateo sat up immediately, taking the phone from my hand. He read the message, and the expression that crossed his face made me shiver. Get dressed, he said, his voice flat and cold. We're making a visit. Where? Connor's office. He was already out of bed, pulling on clothes with precise, angry movements. He's about to learn what happens when you threaten what's mine. 30 minutes later, we walked into Moretti Development's offices. Connor's firm, the company that competed with Santoro Development for contracts. The receptionist's eyes widened when she saw Mateo. Mr. Santoro. We weren't expecting. Connor Hastings, Mateo said flatly. Now. He's in a meeting. Not anymore. Mateo was already walking toward the offices, and I hurried to keep up. Connor was in a conference room with 3 other consultants. His face went pale when he saw Mateo, then red when he saw me standing slightly behind him. Julia. What are you? Why is he? Everyone out, Mateo said quietly. The 4 words carried enough menace that the other consultants scrambled for the door. When it was just the 3 of us, Mateo closed the door. Locked it. You've been harassing Julia, he said conversationally. Showing up at her apartment. Texting from multiple numbers. Threatening her reputation. I don't know what she's told you, but she didn't have to tell me anything. Mateo pulled out his phone, scrolled through something. I had my security team pull your phone records. Very interesting reading. 47 calls in the past 2 weeks. 19 texts from different numbers. 3 visits to her apartment building caught on security cameras. Connor's face had gone from red to white. You can't. I can. Mateo's smile was cold. Do you know what else I can do? I can call your father. The same father who's been using Santoro Development Services for his real estate holdings. I can mention that his son has been stalking his ex-girlfriend and threatening her reputation. What do you think he'll do? You're bluffing. Am I? Mateo pulled up another number. Let's call him together and find out. Wait. Connor held up his hands. Just wait. What do you want? I want you to leave Julia alone. Permanently. No more calls. No more texts. No more showing up at her apartment. And definitely no more threats about her reputation. And if I don't, then I make one phone call and your trust fund disappears. Your comfortable job disappears. Your entire comfortable life disappears. Mateo's voice dropped to that dangerous register. And that's just the professional consequences. The personal consequences would be much worse. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. And Connor heard it. Fine, he bit out. Fine. I'll leave her alone. Good. Mateo turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Connor? Julia is with me now, which means she's under my protection. If I hear you've so much as mentioned her name to anyone, I'll make sure your father learns exactly what kind of man his son is. Are we clear? Connor nodded, his face twisted with humiliation and rage. Mateo guided me out of the office, his hand possessive on my waist. We didn't speak until we were back in his car, his driver pulling away from Moretti Development. You didn't have to do that, I said quietly. Yes, I did. His hand found mine. He threatened you. He gets consequences. That's how this works. What if he doesn't stop? He will. Mateo's smile was cold. Trust me, Connor Hastings just learned the most important lesson of his life. You don't threaten what belongs to me. I should have been bothered by the possessiveness in his voice. Should have protested being referred to as belonging to anyone. But instead, I just felt safe. For the first time in months, I felt completely, utterly safe. 3 days later, I was on a train to Florence with Chiara's medical arrangements already handled, the apartment keys in my pocket, and Mateo's promise that he'd visit in a week. So let me get this straight. Chiara said from her wheelchair, her eyes sparkling with amusement. Your hot boss refused to accept your resignation, paid for my medical care, set us up in a luxury apartment, and is now dating you? That's the summary, yes. And you're complaining about this, why? I'm not complaining. It's a lot. It's too much. It's exactly enough. Chiara grabbed my hand. Julia, you've been alone since university. Taking care of yourself, taking care of everyone else, never asking for help. Maybe it's time you let someone take care of you for once. But what if what if he gets bored? What if you just enjoy it? She interrupted. What if you stop overthinking and let yourself be happy? The apartment Mateo had arranged was in Piazza Santa Croce, with views of the Basilica and enough space for 3 people, let alone 2. Chiara's bedroom had been modified for her wheelchair, with a hospital bed and equipment for her physical therapy. This is insane. I breathed, looking around. This is your life now, Chiara corrected. Get used to it. The first week in Florence was an adjustment. I worked remotely, handling Mateo's accounts, while Chiara had physical therapy twice a day. But every evening, Mateo called. Sometimes for work updates. More often just to hear my voice. How's Florence? He asked on day 5. Beautiful. Chiara's doing well. The therapists say she's ahead of schedule. Good. A pause. I miss you. My heart did something complicated. You saw me 3 days ago. And I'm allowed to miss you. His voice dropped. I'm allowed to think about you in my bed. About how you taste. About the sounds you make when Mateo. I glanced toward Chiara's room, making sure she couldn't hear. I'm not having phone sex with you while my injured best friend is in the next room. Then, I guess I'll have to come to Florence sooner than planned. I could hear the smile in his voice. Tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow. You have meetings. Cancelled. You're more important. He hung up before I could protest. Chiara wheeled into the living room, grinning. Was that Mr. Tall, dark, and possessive? He's coming tomorrow. Of course he is. She laughed. That man is obsessed with you, Julia. And you're obsessed right back. It's adorable. Maybe she was right. Matteo arrived the next afternoon with flowers, wine, and enough groceries to feed an army. He'd rented a car, a Maserati, because of course, and looked completely out of place in Florence's narrow streets in his Milan business attire. "You're here," I said when I opened the door. I said I would be. He kissed me, right there in the doorway, not caring that Chiara was probably watching. Miss me? Maybe. Liar. He kissed me again. Show me around. The next 3 days were the happiest I'd been in months. Matteo worked from the apartment during the day, joined us for dinners, and at night, when Chiara was asleep, he pulled me into the master bedroom and showed me exactly how much he'd missed me. I could get used to this, I admitted on his last night, curled against his chest. Good. His hand slid into my hair. Because this is how it's going to be for the next 6 months. I'll visit every week. You'll work remotely. And when Chiara's recovered, you'll move back to Milan. Move back to what? I quit, remember? You'll move back to me. His thumb brushed my jaw. To my penthouse. To my bed. To being mine. You're very sure of yourself. I'm sure of us. He tilted my face up to meet his eyes. I love you, Julia. I've loved you since day one. Since you walked into my office and handled chaos like it was nothing. Since you proved you were brilliant and loyal and everything I've been looking for. My throat tightened. You love me? Completely. Irrevocably. Mine. I love you too, I whispered. Even though you're bossy and possessive and you refuse to accept my resignation. Especially because of that. He kissed me, slow and thorough. You're stuck with me, Julia Romano. For the next 6 months. And after that. And after that. Forever. Forever, he agreed. Think you can handle that? I thought about the past 2 weeks. About how he'd saved Chiara. About how he'd handled Connor. About how he'd refused to let me run from what we both wanted. About how, for the first time in my life, I wasn't alone. Yeah, I said, kissing him. I think I can handle forever. 6 months passed faster than I expected. Chiara recovered ahead of schedule, regaining full mobility and returning to her photography with renewed passion. Florence had been good for both of us, the slower pace, the art, the history. But I was ready to go home, ready to go back to Milan. To Matteo. You're glowing, Chiara observed as we packed up the apartment. That's what being in love looks like. I'm not glowing. I'm sweaty from packing. You're glowing. She hugged me. Thank you. For everything. For taking care of me. For bringing me here. For introducing me to Mr. Tall, Dark, and Possessive, who made all this possible. Thank Matteo. He's the one who. I am thanking him. But I'm also thanking you. For finally letting someone take care of you. She pulled back, her eyes serious. You deserve this, Julia. You deserve to be loved like that. The train back to Milan felt like coming home. Matteo met me at the station, and the moment I saw him, something settled in my chest. Welcome home, he said, pulling me into his arms. Home. My penthouse. Where you're moving in. Permanently. He kissed me, not caring about the crowd around us. Unless you're planning to resign again? Would you accept it if I did? Not a chance. His hand found my waist, possessive and sure. You're mine, Julia. You quit once. I'm not giving you another opportunity. 3 months later, I stood in that same train station, waiting for Chiara to arrive for our engagement party. Because, yes, Matteo had proposed. On the anniversary of the day I'd tried to resign, he'd slid a ring onto my finger and asked me to spend the rest of my life not being allowed to quit him. I'd said yes. Nervous? Matteo asked, his arm around my waist. A little. I looked down at the engagement ring on my finger, an emerald surrounded by diamonds that he'd chosen because it matches your eyes when you're angry. Your entire family is going to be at this party. What if they don't? They'll love you. He kissed my temple. Just like I do. And if they don't, I don't care. You're mine regardless of what anyone thinks. So possessive. Always. His hand tightened on my waist. You should know that by now. Chiara's train arrived, and she emerged looking healthy and whole, her camera already around her neck. She hugged me tight, then turned to Mateo with a grin. So, you're really going to marry her? Lock her down permanently, so she can't resign. That's the plan, he said seriously. Although I've been considering making her sign a contract that specifically prohibits resignation from our relationship. He's joking, I said quickly. I'm not, Mateo countered. I've already had legal draft it.
Chiara laughed.
You two are perfect for each other. Absolutely insane, but perfect. The engagement party was held at Matteo's family villa outside Milan, a sprawling estate that had been in the Santoro family for generations. His mother embraced me immediately, whispering, "Thank you for making my son smile again." His father assessed me with sharp eyes before nodding his approval. His younger sister monopolized me for an hour, asking about wedding plans and demanding to be a bridesmaid. They love you, Matteo murmured in my ear as we watched the sun set over the vineyards. I told you they would. You were right. I leaned back against his chest. About a lot of things. Such as that I needed you, that this was inevitable, that I should have trusted you from the beginning. I turned in his arms to face him, that I was running from what I wanted. And what do you want? His hands settled on my hips, possessive and sure.
You. This.
Forever. I kissed him softly. I want to wake up next to you, every morning. I want to watch you work from home and pretend I'm not staring. I want to argue with you about whether I'm allowed to resign from things, even though you'll never let me win. Never, he agreed. You're stuck with me, Julia Santoro. I'm not Santoro yet. Details. His lips brushed mine. You've been mine since the day you walked into my office. The wedding is just paperwork. In the distance, I could see our guests mingling, Chiara laughing with Matteo's sister, his parents dancing to music from the quartet he'd hired, his business associates drinking wine that probably cost more than my first car. This was my life now. This man, this family, this beautiful chaos. What are you thinking? Matteo asked. That I tried to resign. And you wouldn't let me. Best decision I ever made. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my face up to meet his eyes, refusing to accept that resignation. You knew, didn't you, that I was running from you? Of course I knew. His smile was smug. I know everything about you, Julia, including the fact that you wanted me just as much as I wanted you. You just needed someone to stop letting you run. He was right. As always. Thank you, I whispered, for not accepting my resignation, for chasing me, for making me face what I was afraid of. You're welcome. He kissed me, slow and thorough, not caring that his entire family could see. And just so we're clear, you're never allowed to resign from us.
From this.
I'll have it written into our vows if necessary. You're insane. About you? Absolutely. His forehead pressed against mine. But you love me anyway. I do, I admitted. God help me, I really do. Good. His hand tightened on my waist. Because I love you too, and I'm never letting you go. Standing there in the sunset, at his family's villa, wearing his ring and his last name in my future, I realized something important. 14 months ago, I'd walked into Matteo Santoro's office as a temporary assistant. Scared, alone, trying to handle everything by myself. This morning, I'd woken up in his bed, his arm around my waist, completely and irrevocably his. The resignation letter that had started everything was probably still in his desk drawer somewhere. A reminder of the day I tried to run, and he refused to let me. This is insane, I'd thought that morning. Now I thought, this is everything. And I wouldn't change a single thing.